I said it once and I'll say it again. It'll definitely look like Kevin Stefanski said he's not going to play Shedeur, and if he get
No.
But I was thankful to have the appreciation excited.
fired, he getting fired on his own, bro. Like he gonna ride this thing on out. He don't like Shedeur.
The drama surrounding Shedeur Sanders didn't erupt from a single mistake, a single throw, or even a single game. It grew slowly and painfully across weeks of confusion, questionable decisions, and growing tension until it finally exploded into the open the moment John Harbaugh stepped in front of the cameras. His team had just dominated defensively. His players had executed exactly what he asked. And yet when someone asked about the pressure Baltimore put on the opposing quarterback, Harbaugh didn't talk like a coach celebrating success. He talked like a man who saw a young quarterback being abandoned by the people who were supposed to protect him. His tone wasn't arrogant, it was unsettled, almost reflective. And in that moment, the entire NFL world felt the shift. Harbaugh wasn't just speaking about the Ravens. He was shining a beacon directly on the Cleveland Browns and on Kevin Stefanski. When Harbaugh said the pass rush was incredible, especially in the second half, he wasn't bragging, he was warning. Because what he saw on that field didn't look like a fair fight. It looked like a quarterback being fed to the wolves. Every time the ball snapped, Shedeur Sanders was met with a new level of chaos. The pocket didn't just collapse, it imploded. Pressure didn't just arrive, it suffocated him. And yet through all of it, through the repeated hits, the desperate scrambles, the near-constant harassment, Shedeur kept battling. Harbaugh noticed that too. You could hear the respect in his voice when he talked about how Shedeur kept fighting through conditions that no young quarterback should be dealing with. But the most important thing Harbaugh noticed wasn't Shedeur's toughness. It was the absence of help around him. The absence of adjustments. The absence of any real protection scheme that suggested coaches were trying to make his life easier. And that's why Harbaugh's comments hit harder than any sack. Because he wasn't simply breaking down game film. He was calling out a failure of responsibility. He said out loud what many had already been whispering. The way Shedeur is being handled isn't just questionable, it looks intentional. It looks like sabotage. A head coach is supposed to shield his young quarterback. He's supposed to fix what's broken. He's supposed to take responsibility for what isn't working. But Kevin Stefanski keeps making the same mistakes, repeating the same stubborn choices, and forcing the same broken offensive strategy week after week. There is no improvisation, no willingness to adapt, no sense of urgency. Instead of protecting Shedeur, Stefanski keeps placing him in the same vulnerable positions again and again. And every time, Shedeur is the one who pays the price. When a backup quarterback from another team can walk onto the field and instantly provide a spark, while your own starting quarterback is left fighting for survival every series, the problem doesn't lie with the player wearing the helmet. It lies with the man wearing the headset. A quarterback as talented and mentally tough as Shedeur should be thriving under strong leadership, not struggling because of weak guidance. Stefanski's decisions aren't just slowing Shedeur down, they are dragging him backward. And even worse, they're damaging him. Fans aren't exaggerating when they say it feels like Cleveland has already hurt Shedeur mentally. Week after week, the message from the Browns has been the same. We're developing him. We believe in him. We're taking our time. But development without action is nothing more than a slogan. You cannot develop a quarterback while putting him in harm's way, refusing to adjust your play calling, and openly allowing him to take unnecessary punishment. You cannot build confidence when every Sunday feels like a trial by fire. And then there's the shadow presence in this drama. Gabriel. Gabriel has become Stefanski's safe option, his preferred comfort pick, the quarterback who gets all the reps, all the support, all the continuity. The problem isn't Gabriel himself. It's how he's being used as a shield. Whenever the Browns struggle, whenever the offense breaks down, whenever the criticism starts rising, Gabriel becomes Stefanski's escape hatch. Instead of taking responsibility, instead of building Shedeur into his system, Stefanski leans on Gabriel to justify why things remain the way they are. This kind of coaching doesn't lift a locker room. It divides it. It doesn't help a young player grow. It isolates him. Shedeur isn't just being denied reps. He's being denied trust. And the longer it goes on, the more obvious it becomes that the coaching staff isn't confused. They're simply committed to a decision they made long before Shedeur even stepped onto the practice field. The most alarming piece of the puzzle, the part that pulls everything together and exposes the core problem, is the practice reps. Or rather, the lack of them. Here we are, deep into week 11, and Shedeur Sanders, drafted in May, expected to be the future, advertised as the next franchise cornerstone, has not taken a single real rep with the starters. That is unheard of in the NFL. Even the rawest rookies get occasional snaps with the ones. Even a practice squad quarterback gets sprinkled in for emergencies. But Shedeur? Zero. That isn't caution. That isn't planning. That isn't development. It is neglect of the highest order.
Reps with the ones matter more than fans sometimes realize. They build rhythm with the offensive line, timing with the receivers, intuition with the coaching staff. They teach a quarterback the speed of the real unit, the communication signals, the trust patterns. Without these reps, you might as well be asking someone to run a marathon after only ever jogging on a treadmill. And then Stefanski turned around and judges Shedeur when he struggles? How does that make sense to anyone? The truth is painfully simple. Stefanski never gave Shedeur a fair shot. And that's why his struggles don't reflect Shedeur's shortcomings. They reflect Stefanski's refusal to prepare him. Former players know this. Analysts know this. Fans feel it. When people say Stefanski is riding this thing out to the end, no matter how bad it gets, it feels uncomfortably true. It feels like a coach determined to validate his own choices rather than empower the young quarterback his franchise invested in. Dylan is his guy. Shedeur is a forgotten piece. And everything that follows becomes predictable. This is how you ruin a young quarterback. This is how you take a talent with heart, toughness, intelligence, and star-level potential and trap him in a situation where growth is impossible. And the saddest part is that it didn't have to be this way. With real coaching, with real development, with real commitment, Shedeur could already be blossoming. Instead, he's surviving. Barely. He should never have been thrown into a deer-in-headlights moment. But he was, not because he wasn't capable, but because he wasn't allowed to prepare. That is the coach's failure, not the quarterback's. When a coach refuses to train a young quarterback and then points to his struggles as proof he wasn't ready, that isn't development. That's manipulation. And everyone watching can see it now. Everything about this situation points back to one truth. Shedeur Sanders is not the problem. He is the victim of a system that refuses to invest in him until the Browns replace the structure around him or replace the man leading that structure. Shedeur will remain trapped in the same cycle of missed opportunities and unnecessary punishment. If you enjoyed this deep, dramatic breakdown and want more honest football commentary that cuts through excuses and exposes the truth behind the headlines, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the conversation in the comments. Do you believe Stefanski is mishandling Shedeur Sanders, or is this entire situation even worse than people realize? Let's talk about it.